Let's dive into our featured story of the day. Samson Mow is predicting a $1 million Bitcoin price in 2024. And that could be right around the corner because ETF approval, they say 90% probability of getting approved by the SEC between January 5th and the 10th. That's only 3 weeks away. Samson Mow says Bitcoin can climb and soar to as much as $1 million per coin in a matter of days or weeks after the approval of the ETF. So here's the latest from Samson Mow. The headline reads, Bitcoin proponent Samson Mow on why Bitcoin at $1 million is still at play. Another headline, BlackRock ETF, torn of money, raises $1 million Bitcoin price target. But I want to start with his tweets. He recently shared, the real rally is when we go to $1 million, and that is when the spot ETFs are approved and we have tens of billions, maybe hundreds of billions of dollars flowing into Bitcoin in a very short time frame. I'm talking about weeks or days. So that is the real rally. How many of you are pretty fired up for the real rally? Let me know in that chat. He also recently tweeted, $1 million Bitcoin is just 10 Omega candles away. That's right. So let's freaking go. You guys forget how simple it is to achieve $1 million from a, say, 50,000 Bitcoin price action. I think if you take 50,000 times 20, a simple 20x, which is 10x times 2, we're $1 million, fam. Let that sink in. Now, he also wrote Bitcoin at $1 million doesn't sound so crazy anymore, does it? And we'll be discussing why it doesn't sound crazy here in a minute. It has come to my attention there are some Bitcoiners that don't think Bitcoin can reach $1 million per coin in a matter of days or weeks after the ETF money starts to flow in. They're in for a pleasant surprise. He also says in 2017, it only took 9 months for Bitcoin to go from $1,000 to $20,000. Facts. The block subsidy was 12.5. There was a lot more Bitcoin sloshing around on the exchanges. Mining was boiling the oceans, and there was zero institutional money coming in. So 1,000 to 20,000, 20x. 50,000 to $1 million is simply just another 20x. So what if we get a repeat cycle like we witnessed from the 2016 halving to 2017? That can take us to $1 million. So again, let that sink in. He also says the ETF approvals will unlock a tidal wave of capital influx into Bitcoin. Pair that with the multiplier effect and you get $1 million BTC. Now here's a throwback he actually shared back on December of 2021. Approval of the spot ETF would send Bitcoin to $1 million per coin over a few days. Gary Gensler, aka No Hair Gare, and the SEC don't want to be the ones responsible for sending Bitcoin to the moon. And this was on the back of Congressman Tom Emmer tagging Gary Gensler December 3rd of 2021. Gary Gensler, Mr. No Hair Gare. I am still waiting on your response to our November 3rd letter asking you to make sense of why Bitcoin future ETFs are allowed to trade, but not Bitcoin spot ETFs. And that's a great question. Why do they allow futures, but not allow spot? That's a brilliant question. I think everyone should tag No Hair Gare. You know what I mean? And John Deaton is like, chiming in here, Preston Pish, because Goldman Gary needs to let his boys manipulate those cash settled derivatives as long as he can. And I'm going to read that out loud again. This was back from 2021 because that's precisely what No Hair Gare has been doing. Goldman Gary needs to let his boys, aka Larry Fink, Abigail Johnson, the CEOs of BlackRock, Fidelity, etc., manipulate those cash settled derivatives as long as he can. They cannot manipulate true price discovery in a spot Bitcoin ETF market. That, my friend, is the difference. Samson also recently shared, we will see a seismic shift to Bitcoin and sound money. The next 5 years will be incredible. We have Guatemala 2023, Argentina 2023, Bitcoin halving 4 months out, April of 2024. El Salvador, we know already adopted Bitcoin as a legal tender. They're likely to get Bukele president again for the next 4 years. Panama 2024, Mexico 2024, Canada 2025, he says could be 2024, Peru 2026, and Nicaragua 2026. And also, he recently met with the president of Colombia discussing adoption there. We have the country of Suriname just north of Brazil discussing adoption there. So there are many candidates for countries, nation states, to adopt Bitcoin as the legal tender here in the short future. Now, Samson Mow shared this thread just recently. This was yesterday. It already got 200,000 views. I want to read it to you. The Bitcoin ETF is the memo. Most people don't understand how significant the ETFs are in terms of marketing and branding. They will bring a flood of capital, but equally important is the message or the memo that's being sent out. Amen. So take note, there are 12 ETFs being listed or filed by asset managers. First, they're in it for the money, not necessarily because they believe in Bitcoin, so don't simp for them. They get money, they need assets under management. So everyone wants to be number one. This is a competition. Second, they aren't going to passively sit there and hope to win. No, they'll be fighting for assets under management and customers. How do companies fight? They advertise and market. Case in point, the Bitwise ad, which just went live. This battle for the Bitcoin orange glow is going to heat up like you can't imagine. Think Jonathan Goldsmith is interesting. Wait until BlackRock makes an ad with, I don't know who that is, Novak Djokovic. I guess probably a big athlete, saying Bitcoin is for winners. And then your Prince Philip says hi, by the way. And we know Prince Philip is bullish on Bitcoin as well. I think he's from Serbia. Correct me if I'm wrong. Or the Fidelity Super Bowl ad with Saylor saying there is no second best ETF. Oh, I can't wait for that one. It's going to be lit. So what about the memo you mentioned, Samson? Well, if you're an actor or an influencer of any significance, you can no longer afford to speak ill of Bitcoin. There's too much career risk now. Talk ish about Bitcoin and you're blacklisted forever. Just like, what's his name? Right here. Jimmy Wales takes notes. Who else can we throw in that list? Peter Schiff. Who else can we add? Let me know. And he continues, another memo goes to media platforms. You want our advertising dollars, you better not be pushing content that harms our Bitcoin offering. And at the end of the day, it's all business. Now it's business in favor of Bitcoin. And the memo goes to journalists too. No more garbage takes on Bitcoin like this, or you're also going to be looking for work elsewhere. You don't bite the hand that feeds you. Preach. So expect less and less FUD from the mainstream. The Bitcoin ETF is the memo. Bitcoin is great. Bitcoin is green. We all love Bitcoin. Get with the program or else. Preach. So then he continues, Bitcoin at $1 million doesn't sound so crazy anymore, does it? What are your thoughts surrounding what Samson Mow just shared here? Please do let me know. And I want to read some of this article as well, which was just published yesterday, the 19th. Samson Mow, the CEO and co-founder of Jan3, the revolutionary blockchain tech company, is convinced that Bitcoin is on its way to tapping $1 million per coin. Mow also describes himself as a Bitcoin bonds architect, maintaining that Balaji, a popular Bitcoin supporter who predicted the Bitcoin would hit the same price point of $1 million earlier in the year, was spot on with his forecast, but he had the wrong timing. He seems to disagree with him on the length of time it would take for the Bitcoin bulls to gain enough momentum to bring the price prediction to reality. He shared, Balaji wasn't wrong about Bitcoin going to $1 million, but he was wrong on the timing and the catalyst. My $1 million call is based on a massive rapid influx of institutional capital, while Bitcoin available for sale hits historical lows, compounded by the halving. He wrote on a post, pro-Bitcoiners have historically remained loyal to Bitcoin's potential, and as such, price predictions from these figures are usually as bullish as they come. While some market players choose to play it safe and make modest predictions, Bitcoin supporters are often seen making bold long-term forecasts. Now, Balaji, he was also the chief technology officer of Coinbase a few years back, so he has a lot of credibility. He's an Indian-American entrepreneur, investor, and former chief technology officer of Coinbase, as I mentioned. In one example, back in March, remember he made that call. He bet that Bitcoin would hit $1 million within 90 days, and he actually bet $1 million on that, which is pretty wild. That was off the back of the regional banking crisis where Bitcoin started to soar. He made the bet of 1 Bitcoin and 1 million in USD coin with James Medlock, who initially tweeted that he'd bet anyone 1 million that the U.S. wouldn't enter hyperinflation. Now, should the Bitcoin price fail to tap that $1 million on the June of 17th, Medlock would win the bet, and 7 months later, Srini lost the bet as Bitcoin failed to meet those expectations. And insisting that Bitcoin will take a different pathway from its current position to $1 million, here's what Samson had to share. Balaji's 1 million prediction was predicated on money printing and banks failing. Those two things could potentially be a driver for a rapid run to $1 million, but not likely. The money printing already happened and then it dried up. It will take a few more years for the market to adjust accordingly. Now, should traditional banks fail, pro-bankers will find a safer bank, as they are yet to realize that banks are not as safe as Bitcoin, which is their only option, he concluded. So there you have it, my crypto fam. What are your thoughts on Samson Mow's $1 million Bitcoin price prediction for next year, 2024? And how lit would that be to see a $1 million Bitcoin price in the year 2024?